Imagine an artist who never truly creates, a writer who crafts narratives without understanding a single human emotion, a composer who weaves symphonies, yet has never heard a note. This is the promise of generative AI, boundless creation, seemingly from nothing. A new universe of art, text, and sound, conjured by lines of code. But what if every pixel, every word, every note it produces carries a shadow, a ghost of its true origin? What if this groundbreaking ability to create is also its greatest legal vulnerability? Generative AI models, the kind that craft everything from compelling articles to hyperrealistic images, function by an incredible act of digital absorption. They aren't thinking in the human sense. Instead, they learn. They learn the underlying patterns and structures of their training data. Think of it like a student who has read every book in the world, memorized every painting, absorbed every conversation. This process, known as pre-training, is fundamental to their capability. To become powerful, these models need vast, almost incomprehensible amounts of information. The internet became their primary classroom, a chaotic, unrestricted library, brimming with human creativity. But here lies the seed of the problem. That library isn't entirely public domain. For years, AI development operated in a kind of Wild West. The mantra was simple: scrape as much data as possible. Why ask permission when the internet is so vast? Major AI labs indiscriminately ingested billions of pieces of content, books, articles, images, code, without explicit consent or compensation for the original creators. This approach, while accelerating AI's rapid evolution, ignited a fuse. Starting in 2023, that fuse finally reached its charge. A wave of high-profile copyright infringement lawsuits began crashing down on generative AI companies. Artists, authors, programmers, all demanding answers, and crucially, demanding justice. These weren't just disgruntled individuals. These were organized class actions, backed by powerful guilds and associations, aiming squarely at the core of AI's business model. At the heart of these legal battles is a single, fiercely debated concept: fair use. Traditionally, fair use allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission for purposes like commentary, criticism, news reporting, or education. Many AI companies initially argued that training their models qualified as transformative fair use. They claimed the AI wasn't simply copying, it was learning, analyzing patterns, and creating entirely new works. The original content was merely input for a new kind of mind. The stakes here are immense. If AI training isn't fair use, then every piece of copyrighted data ingested without permission becomes a potential liability. This could lead to billions in damages and fundamentally halt AI development as we know it. But that's where the prevailing assumption got it wrong. While AI models do learn patterns, legal interpretations emerging by mid-2026 are increasingly questioning the transformative nature of this process. The courts are pushing back against the idea that simply running copyrighted works through an algorithm automatically qualifies as fair use. The argument boils down to this: if an AI model, even unintentionally, can reproduce a significant portion of the original work or creates output that directly competes with the original, the fair use defense weakens significantly. The legal landscape isn't seeing the AI as a new mind, creating something entirely novel from scratch. It's increasingly seeing it as a very efficient, very fast, but still derivative, copy machine. The implications became crystal clear. AI needed a new playbook for its fundamental data acquisition. To understand the radical shift now underway, think of AI training data like the raw materials flowing into a sophisticated factory. In the past, this factory simply grabbed whatever raw materials it could find from an open market, indiscriminately, without much vetting. Now, with the threat of severe penalties, AI companies are realizing they need a completely new supply chain. They can't just pull from an unregulated global bazaar. They need to know exactly where their materials come from, who owns them, and if they have permission to use them. This means building a verifiable, ethical supply chain for data, complete with licensing agreements, rights management, and clear provenance. It's a fundamental reevaluation of how they acquire, curate, and prepare the fuel for their models. By mid-2026, the shift is undeniable. Leading generative AI models are actively adapting their training data pipelines. This isn't a patchwork solution, it's a systemic overhaul. Companies are now pouring resources into acquiring licensed data. This means striking direct deals with content creators, publishers, and stock agencies, paying for the right to use their work. They're also investing heavily in data provenance, creating verifiable trails to ensure every piece of training material is ethically sourced and properly attributed. New frameworks for understanding AI development, behavior, and societal impact are no longer theoretical. They are becoming operational blueprints. This new pipeline focuses on material that is not only legally cleared but also verifiable, allowing for transparency and accountability. The initial Wild West era of generative AI is definitively over. This isn't just a legal hiccup, it's a foundational reshaping of the industry. The future of AI, as defined by these legal precedents and necessary adaptations, will be built on a bedrock of ethically sourced and properly licensed data. This transition might mean slower development cycles for some models or higher operational costs, but it promises a more sustainable, equitable, and legally sound ecosystem for artificial intelligence. For creators, this means a path to recognition and fair compensation. For society, it means AI that is not just powerful, but also responsible, built on a foundation of respect for human ingenuity. The next generation of AI won't just generate, it will generate responsibly.